Hey guys, it's Carl Brown from GL365.com. Got a new one today. We learned how to play, I think it's called Stratego. This was literally released just a few hours ago. So, there's no back history I have on this, so you just have to bear with me here. So we're gonna learn the new Iron Maiden track that was just released, called Stratego, we think, and Stratego, I guess it's Stratego. We're gonna learn the whole thing, kind of go through it. You know, obviously there's multiple guitar players here, and there's gonna be, you know, with no visual evidence of exactly where they're playing it because it was just released. It's just not a performance video or anything like that. Some of these things in the solo or whatever might be played in a different position, but I think it's going to be pretty close. And you know, some of these things where there's lots of harmony work, I won't do every little harmony part, but definitely the main ones we'll take a look at. All right, now before I get into it, please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and ring the notification bell so you'll know when it's a new video. So you can like and comment and help me on the YouTube algorithm wars. And if you really want to support what I do here on YouTube or anywhere on the web, the best way to do it is actually join my Guitar Academy. That way you'll get something out of it too. You'll see a link to it in the description below. That link will actually give you a free 7-day trial to my academy. And my academy contains all my guitar courses, covering everything from complete beginner courses to more advanced courses on technique, improvisation, ear training, theory, guitar tone, you name it. And you also get, you know, personalized support from me. So if that's something that interests you, click the link below, get a free 7-day trial, and go check it out. All right, so let's jump into this track. So we start with this opening level octave melody. I'm sorry. So before we get into the actual melody that's being played there, we have some chords underneath it. So we're just starting with this E power chord. To a C, so the E power chord. Then to a C power chord. There at the 3rd fret of the A string, and then move it up to the 5th fret of the A, or G power chord. So the melody over that other. And then you kind of go through the chords again. Start with the E. Back to that C, but this time instead of going to the D, go to an A power chord. So the whole thing. All right, so what are the actual octave melody over it? So you can start with, you can hit the low E with the first one. You're gonna hit this E octave here. So at the 7th fret on the A and 9th fret there on the G. So make sure all the other notes are muted, like that middle string, if you don't know what an octave is. Probably do if you're doing this track. So just those two notes is what you want to hear. And when I call out the frets that we're going to move around to, it's going to be the fret that your index finger is at here, because we're going to keep this same shape. So we do this. So that's the first time through. So we're going to start with this 7, move up to 14, then 13. So we have. Then go 10, 9, and then 9, 10. And then we come back to the E to start over. So we have this. Now the second time through the melody, it's a little bit different, just at the ends. We have this. So that the end of that melody before when we did this, and then we went back, we went 10, 9, then back 9, 10. Well, it still does the 10, 9, But then instead of going 9 back to 10, we go to 10 to 7. So it's a little bit different. So the whole thing for the whole melody, for both times through. All right, so you can consider that one time through that kind of octave melody. So they do that whole thing twice though. So everything I just played right there, you repeat that twice. And that's over that progression that we just went to, just showed you before. All right, and then we get to the verse section. Now the verse section has this little guitar melody. That kind of thing. I'll show you that in a second, but underneath that, and a little bit lower than mix, we have this little interval riff that's going on along with this kind of little gallop. Definitely the funnest part, I think, of the verse. So let's tackle that one first. So we'll talk about the rhythm in a second, but let's just look at the little intervals that he's doing first. So that's the first one's going to be the 9th fret on the A, and then the 7th fret on the D string, so that little minor third. Then you're going to move this up to the 10th fret on the A, and then the 9th fret on the D, making it a major third shape. Then back down to the previous one, that 9 and 7. Then move this shape down 2 frets. So we have this so far. And then what we're going to do is jump down here. We're going to have the 5th fret there on the A, 4th on the D. And then we're going to go back up to that previous one we just did. That's 7 and 5. And then the 9 and 7. So we have this. You see how the timing of those were a little bit different? So those two a little bit quicker. So repeat that. So you repeat like the first 4 chords the next time through. And then from there, we're going to resolve out the riff. We're going to play still that 5 on the A, 4 on the D. And then take that down 2 frets to the C. And that's the whole riff. So we have this for the chorus. All right, so now what we're going to do is add a little gallop in between it. So got those in between it. That one, obviously, you couldn't do it. They hit one hit. So I kind of start with a little gallop, like at 1, 2, and then it's 2 hits in between all the rest of them. Then those two, there's no hit. And a 1 hit on the E, and then the last one. So wait, this. I'm sorry. And these last two, just play them with the ring. There might be a little. You can actually fit 2 hits after that. For that last one, you know, it's a very new song for me too. So I literally just heard it for the first time a couple hours ago. So just kind of keep that gallop feel going on all in between the chords. You'll be fine. Now, over that, we have this. All right, so we're going to start with this 12th fret on the B to 14 on the G, and then 15, 12 on the B, and then 14, 12, 14 on the G. Try this. All right, then it kind of starts like you're starting the same melody again. But here, don't go 14, 12, 14, just go 14, 12. And let that note ring, that 12. So hear this. All right, then we go back and play it the way we did the first time. And then there's this little ending on it, which is just a bend to the 15th fret on the B string, a whole set bend, release, then play 12 on the B, and then end it with that 14 on the G. So all together for that melody that's kind of repeated over the verse is this. So I guess you can kind of repeat that over that same. All right, now from there we have this pre-chorus section, which is really kind of two riffs. And over the first one, there's a definite little unison bend melody that happens over it. So I kind of, even though there are two separate riffs, I kind of consider this whole section the pre-chorus. So it looks like this. All right, so we're gonna start with this So this is that E power chord up here, the 7th fret. And then what you're gonna do is you're gonna keep the 7th fret there on the A string, but you're gonna move from the 9 up to the 10 on the D. Then down to the C power chord like we did earlier. And then back up to the 5th fret for the D power chord. Kind of continue that gallop on the low E string in between it, and then do it again. So that's like the first half of the pre-chorus. Over that, though, there's these unison bends. So that's just a unison bend here. So you have the 12th fret there on the B, and then you're gonna play the 14 on the G. You're gonna bend that note on the G string up a whole step until it become one same pitch. So the unison bend. So you're letting them both ring together. You're gonna do that at the 12th fret, then the 13th, then the 8th, and then 10. So that goes with a. And then what I consider the second half of the pre-chorus is this. All right, so that starts with the C power chord again. But this time we're going to put the 5th in the bass, which I do a lot. Well, it's just, all you gotta do is take your index finger, move it across, let it lay across the 6th string as well as the, so the A string and the low E at the 3rd fret. So put that low note in there. So you're putting the 5th in the bass. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna jump up here and go. We're gonna play this G power chord to the 10th fret. So 10th fret on the A, 12th on the D, 12th on the G. Then what we're gonna do is we're gonna move the note on the A string down to 9. You're going to keep this note on the D string at the 12th fret, but you're going to have to replace it and play with your pinky this time. And then we're going to play the 11th fret there on the G. So it is. So. Back to the same chord, same. And then here we have this ending, which is going to be this B power chord to the 7th fret, the low E, to the C, to the D. And that'll take us to the chorus. Now, the chorus, we kind of have, I think Steve Harris kind of still getting that gallop going, but we have just the power chords for the chorus at least. There's some harmony guitar work that goes on with it. But we have this, the actual chords themselves. So those are the chords that are going to be going on in the chorus. So it's just the E power chord. Then we're going to do that C power chord, and once again, you can put that G in the bass, kind of thicken up the sound. Then to the A power chord, and then the D power chord. And that when you do the D power chord too, you can also put the open A string in the bass, kind of thicken that one up too. So we have this. So those are the chords that are going underneath the chorus. And then on top of that, we have this. And there's a little harmony of that going on too, which I'll show you in a second. So we have the 8th fret on the B to 7 on the G. Just kind of repeat that a few times. So after the 3rd repeat, then we're going to go up here and go 10 on the B, 8, 7, then over that 7 on the G again. So this. Repeat that. So you're doing that melody at the very end. I think it's like the 4th time of repeating it. It goes. Just has that little. Just end it there with that 9th fret up there on the G. Now, after you've played this melody once or twice, you hear the harmony come in, which is a lot lower in the mix, and it's this. So that's just 12, 10 on the B to 11 on the G. Repeat that. And then 13, 12, 10 on the B to that 11 on the G. And then at the end, just like this one, we do that. We're going to do this. Sorry. That note that we're going to end with there is that 12th fret there on the B. Now this harmony, especially the F sharp in there, it's very low in the mix. Because that note really sticks out a lot. So they kind of, You can tell they kind of dropped it in the mix intentionally because of that. It's kind of, they just want that kind of for a harmonized little texture, but that note was really loud. It's kind of a little dissonance about it. So anyway, so after the chorus, just one time, I call it the chorus out. Before we get back to the verse section, there's this little section where we have these kind of couple power chords and then some octave melodies going on. And there's a lot of harmonies going on in here too. So what I'm doing is I'm just trying to do the main octave melody that's going on. So that's all we're going to really cover for this section. So we have this. And then it goes back to the verse. So this is kind of what I feel the main melody that's going on in that. The main, you can hear other things going on too, but this is, you'll be fine just playing this one. So we have this, start with an E power chord, then a C power chord, and then we get to the octave. So it's, and the first time through this melody, we have this. So that's going to be that. So we have the same octave shape we did earlier in the intro. So you're at the 3rd fret. So same strings. 3, 5, 7. Then 10, 9, 5. So this. So then back to that E power chord and the C power chord again. And then we're doing octave melody again that's going to slightly change. So we have this 3, 5, 7 again. But now this time, go back to 5, then to 10 and 9. So whoever's playing what, I don't know, but I feel like that this is the main melody of that section. So that's what you should play, if you, especially if you don't have like 15 guitar players like they do. So we have this. And just repeat that. And you'll start adding some rhythm to that C chord. Back to the verse. So the verse section's the same, and then that whole pre-chorus section is the same as there as well. Coming out of that pre-chorus section, then we have the solo section. Now the solo section is the rhythm underneath is pretty easy. It's just a E to D, E power chord to D power chord. So kind of 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So pretty easy rhythm underneath that. So let me play through the actual solo though now for you. This has got some of those licks in it that are kind of like blues-based licks that you're just kind of going for it. There's a couple of sections that are very kind of low in the mix and really hard to pick up on. So I'll kind of explain what I think is going on there. But it's going to be like those, especially those little parts, getting it note for note, it's going to be really impossible because there's really, you just can't fully hear it. But anyway, so let me play through it for you real quick and then I'll show you how to play it note for note. So here we go. All right, so we're gonna start here with this. So there's kind of a bend here at the 7th fret of the G. Just pick it a couple times at the bend. And then there's a quick little trill between 5 and 7 on the G. And slide it down to 4. And then we have the same thing kind of, which is going to be the trill between 5 and 7 on the A. And then the open D. He's an open D string a couple times, and I think a lot of it to transition. And like I said before the beginning of the video, this is a solo that, as you know, on guitar, you can play that here, all over the same exact notes. So getting this without having visual evidence of where he's actually playing these notes, it's kind of difficult, but you know, it's probably pretty close. So now, so after you do this, that open D string that you have there allows you to come up to this, into some bends there at the 15th fret there on the B. And then what he does is he kind of, after some bends at the 15th fret there on the B, he just kind of goes down the scale, 13, 12 on the B, 14, 12 on the G. So kind of works his way down to 12, and then back to 13, then back to 12, and then go down to that 14, 12 on the G, and hit that open D again. So, all right, and then we have this. So that right there is a bend and release at a 14 on the G, pull off to 12, over to 14 on the D, into a bend at the 15th fret there on the B, and then we start kind of one of those standard rock blues type things, which is really just kind of 12 on the B, hammer 15, pull back off to 12, and then over to 14 on the G. And this is a kind of 4-note lick that's repeated. So really the easiest way to play this is just down, hammer, pull, down, and you just kind of use that as another kind of a mini sweep downstroke, down, 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 down. Very common kind of rock blues thing. Then we kind of take the same thing, but we move it over to the high E string. So we have the 12, hammer 15, pull back off to 12, and then the note on the B string would be the 15th fret. And into a bend there at the 15th fret there. So we have this. All right, and then we have this next section. So that's going to be a bend at the 15th fret there on the B string again. And then we go 15, 13, 12. So 15, 13, 12, back to that 13. Then we'll go back to the 12 on the B, 14, 12, 14 on the G, and then a kind of a bend and release there. Now this next part is kind of this little, is the one that you're not going to pick up note for note on the recording, because it starts out, you can pick up the notes, and then it just kind of dies out, and you can't really hear it too much. I can kind of tell where he's going. I can hear a little bit of notes and where he ends, but a little in between is just kind of getting it note for note is just going to be impossible. So fair warning there. So we have this. So we got that in the beginning. We have So we have 14, I'm sorry, 14, 4, maybe better, to 5 on the B, back to 4, to down to 3, over to 4 on the G, back to that 3 on the B. Then we have 4, 5 on the G. Then jump back here to 0 on the G. And then here it really starts to die out, and it sounds like what he's doing is kind of just 2, 3, 2 to the open on the D string. And the same thing on the A. And then there's a kind of a big bend there and pinch harmonic at the 3rd fret on the low E string. So something like that's probably about the closest that you're going to get to. All right, now from there we have this. So it's kind of back to kind of the same thing we did. Kind of that same lick we started with. Into that bend in the 15th in that same blues lick. And then he starts kind of picking up the scale here to end the solo. Which is just $12, $14, $15 on the B. Then the same thing on the high E. Then back down to 14, back to 15, 17, back to 15, back to 17, into a bend. All right, so that's the end of the solo. Then we get to this really cool, a little bit of a harmonized section. It's mostly an octave section, but we've got there's obviously at least three lines going here. I'll show you what's going on here. So we're going to start with the basic version of it, which there is going on underneath this. We have this. All right, so there's going to be a slight variation of that, and then a higher version of it too. So let's look at this one I just did first. So if you have 3 guitarists, one can play this one. Open E, then 2, 3, 5, 3, 2 on the A string. Then we go to the open A, and we're gonna go 2, 3, 2, 0 on the D string. And then end it with the 3rd fret there on the A. So this. All right, then we start kind of repeating this again, which gets a slightly different ending. The only difference there is instead of the last note being that C there at the 3rd fret on the A string, it's the E here at the 2nd fret of the D. Instead of this. So all together for this low part. Then you kind of repeat this. And then there's this different ending after that 2-3 the last time on the D, and then go up to 7-9 on the D. So now we have a variation of that that's playing along with it, it sounds like. It looks like this. So that's definitely the more important line. So if you only have a couple of guitar players playing, I would say one of them should be playing that version of it, and then the other one should be playing the higher octave version of that, which I'm going to show you in a second. So we basically have that same riff. Now here, when we get to that 2-3 on the D, this is where we're going to vary a little bit. One goes down, the first one we showed, but this one goes up to 7 on the D, 6, then down to 3 on the D. So we have this. And then when we start repeating it, it's the same kind of second ending that we did previously. Or it just ended on that 2 on the D string. So the whole thing there. Repeat. And then this little same ending that we did before in the first version. Same ending there. Now, we have a higher harmony part that plays along with that. Looks like this. All right, so that's going to be the 7th fret there on the A string. Then go 4, 5, 7, 5, 4 on the G. Then to the 7th fret there on the D. And you can jump up to the B string, 5, 6, and then slide up, move up to the 10, 9 on the B, back down to that 6. Keep in mind, once again, this could be they play different areas and me not being able to see exactly what they're doing. We can get the notes right, but the positions, when you finally see them perform this live, might be slightly different, so you just move it over. So we have this. All right, from there we start over. And the second ending. So from that 7 on the D string, we go 5, 6, 5 on the B, over to 7 on the G, back to 5 on the B. All right, then we repeat again and play the melody the first, like we did the first time, going up there. And then the last time to the melody, just like we did before, when we did that, we're going to do the same thing. So it's the same thing. Then we get that 7 on the D, you got to go 5, 6 on the B, 10, 12. And that gives you the all for that. I guess we'll call that the harmony section, even though it's mostly just an octave section. There's a couple harmonies when you that part's a harmony of this. All right, so From there, we go back to the chorus, same chorus before, so nothing new to learn there. And then we get back to the opening octave riff, so the same thing. But instead of that whole section being played twice, it's just played once there. So, but we've already covered it. It's the first thing we covered in the lesson. And then out of that, we just have this little rhythm that happens on this E power chord. So it's kind of like a little gap. So down, down, up, down, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, down. So it's these types of things. If you've played this style of music, which I hope you do if you've made it this far through it, or else you're completely lost. You know what a gallop feels like and how to play it when you hear it. So it's just kind of, but it's kind of like kind of extended one at the second one. So you kind of do that rhythm all together 4 times. I have somebody up here. And that is it for Stratego, I guess. Stratego. That's more my speed. Stratego. Anyway, it's probably Stratego. But I hope you guys enjoyed it. It's a brand new track off of Iron Maiden's new album. It's not even out yet either. And it's a lot of fun to play. We did the same thing with the previous single they did of that, but this was a little bit quicker. I was literally just sitting around transcribing some stuff, and got this notification. Hey, Iron Maiden released a new single. So I immediately dropped what I was transcribing and started transcribing this new one. And a couple hours later, here we go. So hope you guys enjoyed it. I'll see you again soon for guitarlessons365.com.